So, wow, for some of you 3 days, and for a lot of you 2 days, and we still had questions at the end of the last plenary. So, thank you for that. Thank you for being engaging and asking lots of good questions, meeting people in the hallways, going to the knowledge showcase. I think you've been a marvelous delegation, and I think this has been a bigger conference for us, over more days, more speakers, more sessions. But I think we've enjoyed pulling it off, and whatever sessions I have personally been in have been really interesting and extremely good as far as the content is concerned, and lots of open sharing. Um, Coming to the conference highlights, I put this slide together this morning before I got data from our tireless army of volunteers who've been rapporteuring every session that has taken place in the conference. I'm going to add some stuff to this. But some of the things we did differently. First time we had Members Day. I got good feedback, positive and negative, on Members Day. A lot of you felt it was very interesting. Some of you said you'd like other countries, the countries that you came from, to be covered next time. We'll definitely take that into account. What I would also like you to know is that it would be great to have a good concentration of members in those countries before we feature them on Members Day. So that's inspiration to go out and recruit more members. We had breakouts which we repeated on day 2, although they had different speakers. This was following feedback from last time that, everybody didn't get to go to sessions that ran in parallel. I got feedback this time saying we still had to choose between 3 different sessions, and that was very hard. I don't know how we'll attempt to correct that. Kevin will have to make some very complicated calculations in his mind when he sets up the program content for next year, but that feedback is taken in good form. We had an investment showcase with 20 organizations this year, much bigger than last year, and I'm delighted to tell you that the crowdfunding platform has grown to $680. I will be announcing the winner slightly later, but that's what I was just told. And we had our knowledge showcase. I'm happy to see there are more buttons, so thank you for going there and visiting. I hope you found it interesting. If you felt that there's more things we should look at as far as the practice areas are concerned, please do tell us, because we are in the process of developing this, and it's good to get input earlier rather than later on in the process. I just want to take a few quick seconds to go over some of the highlights of the sessions in the conference. This morning we had a very interesting plenary on corporates. I think the information that was shared was extremely useful. We had one of the key takeaways that we came out was that it's important to look at the inherent sustainability of both the product and the business model when you're going out to get investments, or when you're going out to sort of look for collaboration and partners. I think the collaboration aspect came out in a number of sessions. Even in our last session here, where we look at collaborating with the government, or in terms of even when you have corporate social volunteering, and there were sessions on skill-based volunteering that covered that. I think it's very important to align expectations. Align expectations amongst each other when you're looking at co-investing on a project, or coming together on a particular fund that you've put together. Alignment of expectations when you're working with the government, equally important. And when you're doing, sort of getting into a skill-based volunteering arrangement, or with a mentor, or with corporate volunteers, again, alignment of expectations on both sides will determine the success of what you do. So I think that came out, which was very important. I think the other thing, which is, there's always been a lot of focus on impact assessment, and how do we actually assess the impact, how do we measure the value of what we do. I think one of the things that I heard which resonated with me personally in one of the sessions was that before we go into a project, or before we decide to fund something, it's important that we decide what success looks like, or what does impact look like. Once we have in our mind come up with this is what impact looks like, or this is what I measure by success, it's pretty easy then to devise a program or a methodology to measure whether you have reached there or not. I think that will make our life a lot easier, whether we choose system A to measure impact, system B, or do we call in a consultant and pay them a lot of money to see how we measure impact. So I think getting some clarity ourselves in terms of what impact looks like will be very, very useful. Finally, I think one of the key takeaways, and this for us as an ecosystem enabler is very, very important. A lot of you came out saying that the ecosystem needs to be strengthened. It needs to be strengthened in the individual countries where you come from. It needs to be strengthened on a cross-border basis. And that's where we need your help. We are a network with 214 members today, but we're also just 8 people strong. But we have all of you in these different countries. So yes, we all agree that the ecosystem needs to be strengthened, needs to sort of, grow wider, needs to address all these different stakeholders. But we can only do that together, and that's where we're counting on your support. I thought this was funny because, yesterday was a great dinner, and thank you guys for all coming. And I spoke to a lot of you around who I can see here, and I feel I know a little bit better now. And I just thought I would put together very early this morning some of the quotable quotes that I heard from people. And this is why I think this is a great conference, and why we attract so many of you from your busy schedules to come here. It was interesting. A lot of you said, I didn't expect to see so many people from my country. Or, oh wow, I get to spend more time with people that I don't get to see in the city where I live, which was very interesting. Can we have a country session on Myanmar? Definitely, Barbara. Definitely. I expect a few more members from Myanmar, but why not? We're catching up after 20 years. Oh my God, we met at the AVPN conference. That was really nice. We got a lot of compliments on the speakers. So thank you so much for taking the time to actually research your content and putting up very, very good sessions which were backed by data and very practical examples. I want to tell you how much we appreciate that, because I'm told again and again by a number of people who attend the conference, and this is not a pat on my back, it's actually a pat on yours, that this conference is very different from a lot of others that they attend, where they actually find the content very meaningful, they actually find that the examples resonate with them, and they find that they are actually learning and sharing a lot. So thank you guys for doing that, and it's wonderful. A lot of people yesterday, after the last plenary yesterday, came to me and said something that the moderator said yesterday really resonated with them. And what she said apparently was, it's all about the heart. And I think, we also believe that, and I think Doug starts a lot of his presentations with a heart and saying, at the end of the day, you need to have empathy with what you choose. You need to have empathy to decide on the issues that you engage with. But after that, the head kicks in. In Dr. Krisada's case, the heart and the head come from different parts of this ecosystem. But, it's important to have both the heart and the head. But while we start engaging with the head, it's also important not to leave the heart behind. Because if it then just becomes about measurement and indices and, have we achieved this or have we not, or has this milestone been reached before I can actually fund you or take you to that next level, then we lose that heart and we lose the vision of why we are doing this in the first place at all. I used the connector a lot this year, and it's been great. I think that's fabulous, and that's a great testament to the fact that the connector was a very useful tool to connect. I think a lot of people who had used it for the first time last year came to this conference thinking that it would be great to use that to set up meetings prior to coming, to doing some more research on the types of people that were coming. So the connector is something that's going to be online for a while longer, so please feel free to use it going forward, as well as to use it to continue some of the discussions that you began here. Finally, I thought this was, the biggest backhanded compliment that I could get, and I had to put it there. This morning, Doug and I were in a meeting, and someone actually asked us, how do you convene all these great people to this conference? It's great that you all come, and again, it's very humbling for us that we are able to attract so many of you from from locations which are actually quite far away from Singapore. I would like to say that I think you come because you find the content useful, but more importantly, I think you come because of the people that you meet at this conference. And I think that's what's important. It's the people that make the conference. The content definitely adds to it, but the people are important, and that's why we are pretty selective about who we let into the conference. And it's worth the effort of turning away a few people, not because we don't like them, but because we feel that they wouldn't really add much to the mix. Just some quick facts about the conference. There were 28 countries that came. We had 478 delegates. There were 25 formal sessions that took place, but I think many more hours of informal conversations over the 2 dinners, over the umpteen coffee breaks and the lunch breaks. There were 450 connections that were made, which I was told about this morning. And thank you very much for the 113 surveys that you completed at the Knowledge Showcase. The surveys are very important because, one of the things we are going to develop going forward is a knowledge portal that's going to be far more customized to what you need and, the interests that you have identified or the themes that you have identified to us as being important to you. So rather than, deluging you with just sort of lots and lots of information, some of which you might not read, the aim is to get you information that you can use, information that will help you make connections, information that will help you collaborate and actually take your engagement a little bit further. So that's why the surveys were important. So thank you very much to all of you who went to the Knowledge Showcase, interacted with our staff there and filled out the surveys. This goes in quite nicely to my next slide. What do we look ahead from AVPN now? I'm going to spend a few minutes telling you what to expect from us. It's nice to have you all together so I can do that. As I said, we'll use the surveys and the information that we've gotten from you to tailor the content that you get from us, both from our website as well as newsletters that you will get from us. We are in the process of developing curriculum and workshops that are based on the 5 pillars that we have developed as part of the capability development framework that's going to support learning in the venture philanthropy space. I think a lot of us will find that useful as we are at different spaces in our journey with regards to each of those 5 pillars. And of course, we promise to take this journey of learning further in the next year by having interesting speakers, by having events across the region that we think and hope and expect that you will participate in, ranging from webinars to roundtables to other convenings that we will do. I can't promise how many countries we will get to, but we will at least try through an online platform to try and reach as many of you as possible. It's also my role to thank everyone for who helped us put this wonderful event together. NUS are very, very generous hosts for hosting the event, for giving us access to these world-class facilities. I think once we've all come here, apart from the fact that it's a little difficult to leave, we haven't really wanted to leave. So, thank you so much. Thank you once again to our speakers. It's due to you that we enjoy the success that we do, and we're very, very grateful that you take the time out every year to come and do this for us. Our media and PR partner Edelman, who have actually tried to get us to speak to as many people from the media as possible. Our various sponsors, without whom we would not be able to put such an event together. Our army of volunteers, led by our very capable volunteer manager, Karen. Do you want to just stand up, please? We have 32 volunteers that come and do this pro bono for 3 days. They come from not just Singapore, but from Indonesia and Japan, and we're very, very grateful to them for sparing the time. Most of them are professionals, some of them are students. They all have an abiding interest in the space, and that is why they do it. So thank you very much. I'd also here like to make a special mention of 3 people that I think have gone above and beyond the call of duty. One is our gracious MC, Eliza. Eliza is more than an MC for us. She's participated in the planning of the conference. She's been an ardent AVPN supporter, and she's gone out and spread the good word. So thank you, Eliza. We've got two other pro bono volunteers, Marta and Nitin, who have worked with us for over the course of a month in actually putting this conference together and helping out wherever it's needed. I want to especially thank our admin staff, Elaine and Suhaila, who have worked tirelessly at registration, printing name cards together, filling in the profiles, doing all the registrations of all the invitations, and they've also really worked very hard. So Elaine and Suhaila. And finally, I want to thank my own AVPN team. You know, it's very, very rare you get to work with a team that you really like, especially one that you didn't choose. We have an amazing team that, you know, we have an amazing team that gets along and spends a lot of time laughing together in spite of the fact that we work very, very long hours and, you know, they have deadlines that are thrust upon them, but they do it in an incredibly good-natured and good-humored way. I would love my AVPN team to stand up and thank you very much. Come on, Ken, you're part of the AVPN team. One last thanks from the bottom of my heart is to Doug and Audrey. If they hadn't founded AVPA and AVPN, we would not be here. Doug is an inspiration to us all. Without him leading the way, we would not be here. So I would like Doug to stand so that we can all applaud him. Finally, this is the slide I started with when the first day I addressed you. You know, I really believe it's not our network, it's your network. It's a membership network that belongs to the members. And where we go with AVPN depends very much on what you want to do. We are here to support your aims. We are here to help you be more strategic in the way you deploy capital. We are here to help you achieve maximal impact. So it's very important that we keep hearing from you how we can support you to do that. I think our biggest challenge is to see how do we get each one of our members to be active, how do we see the capital that they deploy actually multiplying in its impact. I do believe that, you know, what we are doing is a movement. We are starting something, we've planted a seed, it's grown, but we need to nurture it to make sure that it becomes a really wide banyan tree which has a huge canopy that envelopes our entire region. I think I'm so confident after 3 days here, where I've seen a lot of people reach out to each other across borders and say that, you know, let's try and do something together. I would love to see how I can actually partner with you. Can I take this conversation forward? I mean, I think that's where we can play a role, and that's where we would like to support you. So please reach out to us, tell us what we can do, reach out to us for connections. We are happy to make them. Tell us if you want to set up a fund. We're happy to help you facilitate. We need your help to grow the network, and I'm sure together we're going to actually look at achieving far more impact than we have already. We're going to look at achieving not really the solution, but getting towards the solution to the vast majority of social problems that our region faces. We're in it together, and I think together we can make a difference if we decide we want to make a difference, and we will make a difference. So thank you so much for coming to this journey with us, and we look forward to continuing on the journey with you next year and seeing you next year at the AVPN conference. Thank you.